best landing spot for him?
Well, listen, it would have been Dallas or the Chargers, but both those teams aren't going to move on from the two coaches. So you got to eliminate those two clubs right off the bat. Wait, you want to go to Denver? They got no draft picks, and they got an aging quarterback. Why would you want to go there? Carolina, there's no quarterback there. They have a draft pick, but there's no great quarterback there. Plus, Wilkes doesn't deserve to lose his job anyway. So he deserves to stay. So let's throw that into the mix. That's number two. I don't want to go near Arizona. All right, you got a guy quarterback with an ACL. I don't love him anyway. I don't want to go, and there's no GM. I don't want to go there. Take the Houston job. They have 11 draft picks, and they got the second pick in the draft. They can get any quarterback they want. So he can go to Houston. It's a nice place to live. He lives in Dallas. The owner's going to leave him alone. It's good weather. The stadium's good, and they got nowhere to go. Plus, they're in a lousy division. So he's got a chance in the AFC South to do it. Tennessee stinks. I mean, the Colts are a mess. Jacksonville's pretty good. But, I mean, they got a chance to make a quick headway. That's the spot he should go. Whether he does because of the Houston history, I don't know. But he's got 11 draft picks, and he's going to get a quarterback.
Well,
Bryce Young might be a Texan. I go there.
I disagree with you. I'm him. I do everything. I'm hoping beyond hope that the Chargers change their mind, and he should take that job. Let me tell you why I don't believe in Houston. That organization is not in shambles because of what's taking place on the football field. What's taking place on the football field is because the organization is in shambles. There's a difference.
Truth.
The reality of the situation is, first of all, Sean Payton is not black, but I just want to repeat this for the airwaves. If you're a black person, if you're a black man in the National Football League, you do not want the Houston Texans job. After what they did to David Culley and Lovie Smith, clearly they have no intention
Hired them to fire them.
Hired them to fire them, just to be able to check the box if we did what we did, while Nick Caserio somehow still has his job is beyond me. Let me say this. Even if you went there, you don't know what they're going to do with those picks, what they're going to allow you to do with those picks, and more importantly, what kind of organization they're going to evolve around you. You might have the say. They may tell you that, but remember, Esteby was there, and he wasn't supposed to have the position that he had, but you allow him to infiltrate the proceedings and get on people's nerves like Deshaun Watson and others. I don't trust that organization as far as I could throw him, and I wouldn't want that job. LA's a different animal, not just because of Justin Herbert and the talent that they have, but the market that they're in. The Chargers are making, and I'm not trying to say that Brandon Staley doesn't deserve to be a head coach in the National Football League. He doesn't deserve that job. And in that market, it's too important to the National Football League to not have the creme de la creme up in there, okay? We all know what Sean McVay brings to the table, okay? We know that Brandon Staley ain't no damn Sean McVay. And the fact of the matter is, when you get a guy like Sean Payton in there, that's what you should be doing because of Justin Herbert. Now, what I don't like is how Justin Herbert came out and spoke out on behalf of Brandon Staley. He wouldn't speak out on behalf of Lombardi, and then, which is why Lombardi is gone, even though he's Vince's grandson. This is why they got rid of him. But I get tired. Every time you always see these players speaking up for the coach. Well, when the coach gonna win? The objective is to get it done. If you Justin Herbert, what the hell are you coming to Brandon Staley's defense for? Y'all had a 27-0 lead. Okay? Brandon Staley, the buck stops with him.
He's also a defensive coach.
That's right. He didn't have to listen to the offensive coordinator. He chose to. Okay? And as far as I'm concerned, it's the LA market. It's too important. It's the second largest market in the United States of America. The Rams are more relevant in the mind's eye to Los Angeles fans than the Chargers, who some people still believe should be in San Diego. If I'm the Chargers, I make a splash. I get rid of Brandon Staley. I bring in Sean Payton. So I know that Justin Herbert is going to flourish because Sean Payton made sure Drew Brees is phenomenal, Hall of Fame and the whole bit. Shorter, with less velocity on his throws, not as strong of an arm. And look what he and Sean Payton did. Could you imagine what Sean Payton would do with Justin Herbert, with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen? I tell you this, Mike Williams would have been eligible to play. He would have been available because he wouldn't have been played in a meaningless game, the last game of the regular season. Floor is yours, Swagoo.
I like that. Doggy, I'm actually not mad at your Texans take. He's the right hue. And I'm with you, Stephen A. Like, a black coach shouldn't go to Houston. All right, and we know why. Like, we don't have to get into that.
Right.
But Sean Payton understands Texas. Obviously, he was an assistant in Dallas. He was the assistant. He was the offensive coordinator when I was in
Oh, he was? Okay,
Dallas.
so you know him well.
Excuse me. And he is a phenomenal coach. But he also is a guy that would serve as a buffer, because I'm not sure if those players with the Houston Texans want a so-called attachment to ownership. Sean Payton would be a legitimate buffer because he's a coach's guy. I mean, a player's guy, right? But Stephen A., I love what you said about L.A. because the development of a quarterback obviously is as important. But Sean has a great way of figuring out how to have everybody developing at the same time. We give them so much credit for what they did offensively in New Orleans. Those were really good defenses under Dennis Allen. Now, Sean Payton obviously is not a defensive guy, but the understanding of how to put a staff together, I like that idea. Denver is the place. Denver is the place. Because Denver, I know we talk about Russell Wilson, no picks, aging quarterback. Don't forget new ownership. There is patience in that organization. And he would be the coach that the Walton family, the owners of Walmart, would be willing to give away something to get him. They would pay him an insurmountable amount of money and not let him leave out.
Can I say real quick why I disagree with you? Just this one point. I'm a fan of Russell Wilson. I root for him. Rooting for him is one thing. Believing in him is another.
Yeah.
There was such a precipitous drop-off in him this year. It's not like he's some spring chicken in his early to mid-20s and he just had a bad year. The fact is that you've been in the league long enough to avoid having the kind of year he's had. I'm not a believer.
I'm going to bring up a history of conversations that we had before, and y'all laugh at me about it. Do you remember when we were talking about New Orleans and Jameis Winston taking over that offense?
Yes.
And I was high on
Yes.
Jameis Winston?
Yep. And who wasn't?
You wasn't. But 60% of that is because I thought Sean Payton was going to be his coach.
Right.
Okay? Like, that is, let's not forget.
That's what of a difference maker that he
It
is.
is everything. Let's not forget how well Teddy Bridgewater played under Sean Payton in the absence of Drew Brees when he was injured. They won 5 games. They were 5-0 during Teddy Bridgewater's stay.
Yep.
That's why the noise about McCarthy had me a little bit bothered with how he was able to manage without Dak Prescott playing quarterback. I give credence to that.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.